Hi everyone, Ken Nerhus here for Endemic Environmental Services, and today we're going to cover day 3 of the Commercial UAV Expo 2020. Now first off, they started with some keynote speakers. They had an introduction from the Commercial Drone Alliance, which is a non-profit group that deals with regulations and is focused on the progression and trends in the drone industry. They work with the FAA. I believe they're out there in Washington, D.C. They advocate for things like safety, regulations. They're heavily involved in the IPP program. They're requesting or they're getting access to Spectrum, which is the FCC. That way they can do things with the frequencies. And also too, they actually have an action plan for whoever is president come January 22nd, 2021. They have a plan set out for the future of drones on day 1. So great job to the Commercial Drone Alliance for helping all of us out there and helping progress the drone industry as a whole. Now they had a keynote speaker, which was Michael Christoso. Sorry if I butchered your name there, Michael. He's the Chief Technology Officer for the White House. He went over things that are going to be happening in the future of drones. For example, they view that there's going to be 2 million registered UAVs coming in the near future. At the moment, they have 190,000 certified Part 107 pilots, which is amazing. That's a huge number compared to manned aviation and the growth. So when Part 107 came out in 2016, 4 years later, we have 190,000 pilots in the NAS. Also, he went over the fact that drones have been authorized for 506 emergencies over the past few years, which is great. Right now we're in hurricane season, and currently the wildfires in California have stretched all the way to, the smoke has stretched all the way to Europe. So drones could definitely help out with either one of those critical situations. Also, he did mention that they have qualified 35 companies for waivers on crop spraying here in the United States. Something that is really starting to come to the forefront in UAVs and drones is crop spraying and agricultural in drones. And specifically out here in the United States, you have these very, very large corporate farms. We're talking about thousands and thousands of acres that need to be covered, currently being done by manned aircraft, but soon enough it should be done by drones, and because there's a lot of chemicals and things being sprayed. Also, being lowered to the ground will have less effect on environmental impact and things like that. He also went over the IPP overview on how the program has been a great success on pushing regulations and confirming some of these concepts that people have out there, and how they expedite waivers in those particular sites, and specifically beyond visual line of sight and also flying over people. He did mention that they are working on those things, which was also confirmed yesterday by the FAA director in his keynote speech, that beyond visual line of sight and flight over people is going to be worked into Part 107, which makes a lot of sense, because flight over people and beyond visual line of sight is something that will allow drone pilots to generate more revenue for their business, to be able to provide more solutions to their clientele. And also delivery approvals, UPS, Amazon, things of that nature. Now that these companies have kind of laid the groundwork for the operations, they have now started to work their way into allowing smaller drone companies to be able to provide those services. And yesterday in the keynote speech from the FAA director, he did also mention that from 2020 to 2024, that package delivery will be the largest segment of drones to grow within the industry. So once again, Michael Christosos, I believe it is. Sorry if I butchered your name again, but great job, and I look forward to see what the White House and the Chief Technology Officer office has for us drone pilots in the near future. Now after that, they had a panel discussion with UPS Flight Forward, which is the UPS drone delivery sector of their business. And they had 4 people on the panel. They had Beth Ann Troutman Stanley, who is the business developer for UPS Flight Forward. They had Olivia De Angelis, sorry if I butchered your name, who is a UAS industrial engineer. Candice Mahargu, who is a maintenance controller, and Kanesh Put, who is an HR business partner. And these ladies, it was an all-woman panel, which was great to see, specifically because they did mention that men make up 93% of the industry. So that only leaves 7% for women to move around inside the industry. We would like to see that number grow within the industry. Diversity is the best thing for an industry like drones. And they went over things like the Part 135 and how they obtained that and how that's helped. They went over some of their deliveries, medical deliveries and small deliveries that they did for a hospital. I believe it was in North Carolina. And so UPS, with their long history of giving quality work to deliveries, I mean, everyone's had a delivery by UPS. Now, them working at the forefront and using drones is great to see. It's great to see that they're not bucking against the trend, that they're moving with it, and they understand that getting ahead and being on the spearhead of this type of technology is only going to help their bottom line and help their shareholders grow their investments. So once again, great job UPS, and I look forward to more coming out of the Flight Forward situation. Great job UPS. Now on to the next segment. I sat in on a Doosan virtual exhibit hall booth, and there they had Daniel, who was actually in Korea at 3 a.m. Thank you again, Daniel, for hosting the booth. It was hosted along with John McBride from Rocky Mountain UAV Systems, very well-known company within the drone industry. They provide training, consulting, also they provide you with end-user builds. They have contracts with DJI, Doosan, and a few other UAV manufacturers. So once again, check them out. They're always a good reference. And John McBride, also known as Drone Jesus, is a great reference. If you ever get a chance to talk to John about drones, please do, because he's a great reference point. And so Doosan, they have what is called the DS-30 drone, and it is a hydrogen-powered drone. It's a very large drone. It's an octocopter. However, they launched it, I believe, a year or two ago, one of the versions, and man, is it great. It's a great unit. They get up to 2 hours of flight time in this version, and it's got a 10-pound payload to come along with that. And these types of things, these types of drones are really the future for beyond visual line of sight, or let's say, for example, crop spraying, or anything that takes a long period of time to do a flight operation. Because if you get that 2-hour flight time, that's the only way you're really going to be able to fly beyond visual line of sight and get something done, and then also have the drone return. Now, if you have a one-way trip, that even extends your flight distance even further. Also, too, one thing that I had never even thought of is how environmentally friendly actually hydrogen is for drone usage as a power plant, because there is no large environmental impact coming from hydrogen since it's so abundant in the atmosphere. Also, too, they went over the canisters that go inside the drone to power it, and they have done their due diligence on it. It's got a carbon fiber cover on it. They've done a lot of testing. John McBride really endorsed the passion and quality service that Doosan has. They are willing to work with their customers. He even mentioned they came from Korea to the United States 4 times to work with RMUS in order to get that done. Also, too, they did go over inside the exhibit Fortress UAV, which is a service provider, a maintenance service provider that will provide maintenance for these Doosan drones. And also, too, on top of that, there is a company that has also partnered called Ready H2, which delivers compressed hydrogen gas tanks. They have rental options as well as a exchange program. So it's a lot kind of like your barbecue. You know, you go down to the store with your tank and you exchange it out. Also, too, they did say that since they do deliver, they can get it. I guess you got to kind of set it up with them, but they can deliver you these canisters out in the field even, which is great. They said they have nationwide coverage, and again, possible refueling in the field. Now, back to what John was talking about from Rocky Mountain UAV Systems. You know, they do program management there. They help integrate sensors and payloads. The Doosanis can work with DJI flight controllers. So that way, if a pilot who's used to flying a DJI gets hired to fly a Doosani, or wants to just use a Doosan, then they can have a streamlined integration into flying that drone. And these types of power plants are the future of drones as far as extended flight capabilities require, because you're going to need 2-hour flight time on any type of delivery if you're going to get serious about it, or beyond visual line of sight. These types of drones are what is going to push the industry into its next tier, its next level. And also, too, a couple questions that John answered that I had was, what was the limitation of the Doosan drone, which is, you know, again, a hydrogen drone. And what he mentioned is cold weather, and specifically the exhaust from the hydrogen produces water. And these exhaust tubes that the drone has that lets the water drip out, they can freeze. So it's probably something that a Doosan can work on. That's a pretty easy fix that eventually will allow it to work in those colder conditions. And the advantage that John let us know about is power density from the hydrogen tanks. Obviously, you can get a higher power density than a lithium-ion battery because you can get that 2-hour flight time. And also, again, with the recharging, you know, to recharge a battery for a drone, it takes anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour and a half. You know, with a tank, it can be filled up relatively quickly. Also too, one of the advantages, since the drone is being prepared to fly beyond visual line of sight, is it works on LTE communications. So that way it can obviously communicate across long distances. And again, it is just a better power plant than lithium-ion batteries for the environment. And since here at Endemic Environmental Services, we are all about protecting the environment, helping it grow, we definitely are looking forward to that type of power plant being used with drones in the near future. On to the next segment, a company called SimActive, who has mapping software and claims to have the fastest processing time in the industry. It looks like they can go at 400 images per hour, which is pretty good. You can cover a good area, 20, 30 acres with that type of image processing count and get it done within an hour. That's great, because obviously, as we know, in business, time is money. And with a lot of these mapping projects, by the time you get home, you throw it into the computer or you throw it on a processor, you're still going to wait a couple hours and you can't get it to the customer or even to review it until the next day. So the longer you have to wait, the longer the invoice is going to come in for you to get paid. And SimActive, they do offer rental rates. They offer a monthly, an annual, and a lifetime rate for their services. So again, check them out, SimActive. They're for, larger maps and things like that. But, it's always good to find someone who's different and doing things differently than the status quo. Like Pix4D, Drone Deploy, things of that nature. So check them out. I'm going to check them out. Hopefully we can get a tutorial with one of their representatives and we can make a video of that and put that out for all of our viewers to see. And so on to the next exhibit booth that I visited was a company called Aerial Response Solutions, and they actually make drones. They make kind of a heavy lift drone. It's a rather big drone, and it's a hybrid drone that has a gas turbine engine in it. So this is kind of more of a futuristic drone, kind of waiting to see what's happening in the future. Heavy lift drones, those are coming, and those are definitely going to be huge assets in the world of construction and agriculture. Specifically for us here at Endemic Environmental Services, we could use those type of drones to be able to lift things that do not harm the environment that we're trying to restore or mitigate. So those types of things that heavy lift drones will be able to provide in the near future is very exciting. Well, everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in today. I want to thank Commercial UAV Expo 2020 and all the people who exhibited for us. And again, my name is Kent Nerhus for Endemic Environmental Services, and fly safe out there.